मुस्कुराएगा तो करना नहीं, आपको चला रहे हैं ज्यादा तो मुस्कुराया करना नहीं, पंखा तो चला रहा है।
Hare Krishna. Om Jnana-timirandasya Chinanjana Shlakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manavishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svanadgadamyam Dadati Svadatikam Vandeyam Shri Yuda Padakam Shri Gom Vaishnavam Sam Shri Upam Javajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Bhajana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Gana Lalita Shivshakam Vitam Sha He Krishna Guruna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Tyatpate Gaupesha Gopka Kantara Kantamanastata Tapta Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vinavanishva Vishabhana Sutadevi Panamama Haripriye Vanka Kaltu Vishakri Pasan Vivasha Patiram Pavana Vyo Vaishnavyo Namah Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Srinivadi Prachkachaya Satavini Srila Prabhupada Ki. So today we will study chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita. In chapter 13, we heard about 6 subject matters. The Kshatraya, Jnanam, Jneyam, Prakriti, and Purush. So we have heard about how the living entity is entrapped in a field of activities, how is entangled in that, although the spiritual is different from the field of activities. So in chapter 14, we will hear how the living entity is limited and controlled by the modes of material nature, that we are controlled and kept within this field, this kshetra, with powerful shackles of material nature, the 3 modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. And at the end of this chapter, Lord Krishna will inform us how to get free from these modes. So today we will start with chapter 14, the 3 modes of material nature, and verses 1 to 9. In these verses 1 to 9, Lord Krishna will start with glorifying the knowledge that he will speak, and he will explain the relationship between material nature, the living entity, and himself. That he will start with telling that it is he who impregnates the living entities into material nature, and the eternal living entity connects with the material energy because it's conditioned by these 3 modes. So then we will hear the mode of goodness, how it conditions one to happiness, the mode of passion to fruitive activities, and ignorance to madness. So we will start with text 1. Before we go with text 1, I want to read something of the purport of this text 1, in which Srila Prabhupada explains points about this chapter. He says, if one understands this chapter through the process of philosophical speculation, he will come to an understanding of devotional service. Here the word philosophical speculation is used. We have heard about speculation before, and speculation was condemned before. I think it was 255, Sukes Anudvishmanaha. 56. Yeah, Sukeshu Vihatashvya, Vitaragbayakhoda Sitadirmoni Achate. The purporter, Srila Prabhupada said, the word Muni means one who can agitate his mind in various ways for mental speculation without coming to a factual conclusion. So that's the Munis, speculating and never come to a conclusion. But that's mental speculation. Is based on the mind. But here Srila Prabhupada speaks about something different, philosophical speculation. Philosophical speculation is based on speculation based on the scriptures, not on what comes in your mind. That and based to logic using the scriptures, one gets an understanding then of devotional service. Because that will be the conclusion of this chapter. Mam seyo vyapacharana bhakti yogana sevati sakadan samatichetam brahmavoya kalpate is a key verse to remember. One not once transcends the modes of material nature by unalloyed devotional service. So that is how to transcend the modes, and that is devotional service. So, and that's the only way to transcend the modes, is the only way to go back to the spiritual world, is devotional service. You cannot enter the spiritual world without devotional service, because that's what they do there, devotional service. So in this chapter, Lord Krishna, he will explain what the modes of nature are. That Lord Shigupta, can you please mute your mic? Thank you. That's good. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead explains here in this chapter what are these modes and how do they act, how do they bind, and how they give liberation. So it is expected, Srila Prabhupada writes, one who understands this 14th chapter will attain perfection. Because as a conclusion, one must perform devotional service to transcend these modes. Even if one does that, one obtains perfection. Good, we will start with text 1. If someone can read text 1, please. No.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha Param Bhuya Pravakshami Jnanam Uttamam Yaj Gyatva Munyaha Sarve Param Siddhim Ito Gatihi. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection.
Good. So Lord Krishna glorifies this knowledge. And then someone can read text 2, please.
Maharaj, can I ask a question, please?
Yes, you can.
Maharaj, so we understand that the middle six chapters are is the heart of Gita and they belong to Bhakti Yoga. And Krishna already qualified the ninth chapter as the most confidential knowledge. And now we are seeing here, Prabhupada is mentioning that this chapter is, has kind of more superior than the knowledge given in the other chapters. So how do we understand this?
This knowledge, well, it's the best of all knowledge. Every chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is the best of all knowledge, for sure. But of course, the middle chapters, they were about devotional service. But in the last 6 chapters, we are going back to Jnana. In chapter 13, Krishna explains how the living entity is entrapped. And in chapter 14, he will explain how we can get out of this entrapment by getting liberation from the 3 modes. In the next chapter, Krishna will give the example of a banyan tree and how to cut this tree with knowledge and attachment. That in the 16th chapter, he will explain how to get out of this field of activities, how to get liberation by developing godly qualities. So these chapters is about Jnana, how to go from Jnana to devotional service. And so that's the difference. But yes, Krishna says the best of all knowledge, because to that knowledge you can attain perfection. But to the knowledge of the next chapter, you can also get perfection. So that is also the best of knowledge. It's all the best of knowledge. But at the end of the Gita, in the 18th chapter, there we will hear about confidential knowledge, more confidential knowledge, and the most confidential knowledge. And there you find gradations, which are very significant. Because the confidential knowledge, Krishna says at the end of the 18th chapter, is Brahma Bhuta Prasanatmana Shoshina Kamsin Samsaveshabuchidu Mat Bhakti Labate Param. One can attain, so this is Brahman realization, the Brahma Bhuta stage, which is peaceful, no lamentation, no hankering. So that's Brahman realization. And then Krishna will say in the 18th chapter, now I will give you better knowledge. And he's saying, Ishvara Sarvabhutnam Richayanatishtati Brahmyam Sarvabhutnam Yatra Rutayima Maya. That I'm sitting in everyone's heart as a super soul, and I can conduct the wanderings of all living entities while sitting as a machine of material energy. So that's super soul realization. That's better knowledge. Then the highest knowledge, Krishna says, is Manmana Bhavma Bhakto Majima Namaskaru, and then surrender unto me. That's the highest knowledge. With that knowledge, you can go back to the spiritual world. So we have to differentiate this between knowledge that brings us to liberation and knowledge that brings us to the spiritual world, to the platform of devotional service. And here, Srila Prabhupada points out in this 14th chapter, is the best of knowledge, because it helps us to bring to devotional service, to that platform. That does not mean that this is the only best of knowledge in Bhagavad Gita. Does that help to understand that?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Good. And if someone can read text 2, please.
आगत सर्गेति नोपजायन्ते प्रलयेन व्यथन्ति च.
Good, thank you.
By becoming fixed in this,
Yeah, please read.
by becoming fixed in knowledge, one can attain to the thus establish one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution.
Yeah. So Krishna further glorifies his knowledge. This is, with practice of this knowledge, you can regain your spiritual nature. That, and then there's no birth, death, and old age and disease anymore. That, yes, well, one can become free from repetition of birth and death. So this means that devotees, even after liberation, they will not lose their individual identities. That so in this material world, all the knowledge is contaminated by this modes of nature. That so knowledge which is not contaminated by material nature is called transcendental knowledge. That Prabhupada makes the point in the purport. There is variegatedness in this material world, but that's a reflection from the variegatedness in the spiritual world. That, but to get such knowledge, one must develop spiritual qualities. One who develops the spiritual qualities is not affected by the creation or destruction of the material world. So ignorant people, they think, yes, when I attain liberation, I get rid of this body, then my soul will merge with the spiritual sky, with Brahman, and that's formless and without variegatedness. But actually, the spiritual variety is a source of the material variety in this world. All liberated souls in the spiritual world always look to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, being eternally engaged in his loving service. That, so now, after glorifying this knowledge, Lord Krishna will explain that is the source of everything. Someone can read text 3, please.
Mama yonirmahat brahma tasmin garbham dadamiham sambhava sarva bhutanam tato bhakti bharata. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the birth of all living beings, O son of Bharata.
So thank you. So the Lord says, yes, I impregnate the living entities. That he injects them in this material world. That in the purpose, everything that takes place is due to the combination of kshetra and kshetra. Yeah. The body and the spirit soul. The combination of material nature and living entities made possible by the Supreme God himself. That so how is the living entity connected with this kshetra? How is the kshetra connected with this kshetra? It's by yeah, attachment, desire, that by contact with this material nature, it's held into ignorance, and we identify with matter, with this body. So into material nature, the superior nature is mixed by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, all living entities are born of this material nature. And then there's an analogy which is used here in this purport. It's good to remember that the scorpion lays its eggs in piles of rice, and sometimes it is said that the scorpion is born out of rice, because people do not see the eggs. So it comes out of the rice, but the rice is not the cause of the scorpion. There were eggs laid by the mother. So similarly, material nature is not the cause of birth of the living entities. The seed is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they only seem to come out as products of material nature. Thus, every living entity, according to his past activities, has a different body created by material nature, so that the living entity can enjoy or suffer his past deeds. So that's the reason of the birth of everyone, to give us enjoyment and suffering, but we have course in our previous life. So that's, we will hear in the Bhagavatam that, yes, that since your birth, your happiness and distress is destined in this world, you cannot change it. And good astrologers, they can calculate your karma that you can get, you will get, and you cannot change it. But there are not many good astrologers. But yes, that's a fact. We get this machine to get reactions of our actions in our previous life. And of this happiness and distress you cannot change. Nothing you can do about it. What you can do is how you react to it. Are you accepting the happiness and distress that you receive? Or are you going to try to improve and fight against it? That if you try to improve and fight against it, you will make karma again and prolong your residence in this material quarters, etc. Good text 4.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, can I ask one question?
Yes, sure.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, we hear one story that there was a snake and he was disciple of Narada. Narada said him that not to bite anyone. So he followed the instruction of Narad Muni and he stopped biting. So what happened in return, that people starting throwing stones on him. So after a year, Narad Muni came back and he saw in the very very pathetic condition he was in. So Narad Muni said that yes, I said you not to bite, but you can hiss. That you have to save your body also, so you can do like this. So Maharaj, by doing this also, it means getting the karma. So I am asking like this, and somebody is saying us something and we are tolerating, but up to some extent we can tolerate, or of course as Trinadapi Sunichena, we have to tolerate we have to increase our tolerance every time. So Maharaj, is this how I understand this story with the text we have read? It means that that's not valid. We should not say anything. We should increase our tolerance all the time. Can you please help, Maharaj?
Yeah, the story of this snake. Yeah. Whatever action we undertake, which is not in Krishna conscious, will bear a reaction in next life. That's a simple rule. But yes, we have to save our life. But the materialistic people will try to save their life so that they can enjoy. And the devotee will save his life because I need my body for the service of Krishna. Two completely different things. May look the same, but it's not the same. One gets reaction, the other not. Yes. But anyway, whatever situation we're in, we must try to use it in Krishna's service. That's essential. It's okay?
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Yeah. So can someone read text 4, please?
सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय मूर्तयः सम्भवन्ति याः तेषां ब्रह्म महद्योनिर् अहं बीजप्रदः पिता. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So Lord Krishna is the father. Material nature, Prakriti, is the mother of all living entities. That Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse many times in lectures. And now we will start hearing from the 3 modes of material nature, that how the living entities become conditioned by these modes. And someone read text 5, please.
Sattvam rajastama iti gunaha prakriti sambhavaha nibandhanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. Material nature consists of 3 modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes.
Wait. So that means that a living entity is different from matter. But it comes in contact with these modes and becomes captivated by it. Start to meditate on this world. Dayate visyapam samsangvistesa vajayate sanghya sanyate kamakam koda vijayate. Meditation on objects of the senses for enjoyment, and we become captivated. That yes. And then we have to act under the spell of material modes. You get a body, and the body, you have to listen to it. That the body needs to rest, you need to rest. Body needs to eat, you have to feed it. So many things under control of the material nature. That and we are induced to act according to that nature. We have the body of a human, must act as a human. That's so, and that is the cause of all varieties of happiness and distress that we experience, this body that we get. And now we will hear first, the mode of nature and the mode of goodness. of the mode of goodness, and yes, how it's purer than the others. But important is to understand how the modes of nature conditions us. So that's text 6. Someone read text 6, please. Yeah, Dr. Sat from Nirmalatva.
तत्र सत्वं निर्मलत्वं प्रकाशम् अनामयं सुखसंगेन बध्नाति ज्ञानसंगेन चानघ. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by the sense of happiness and knowledge.
So you have these 3 modes. In the mode of goodness, one feels happy, life is good. In the mode of passion, one is very active. And in the mode of ignorance, one feels helpless. But if we develop the mode of goodness, we become wise, that we get knowledge. So a devotee, he must live in the mode of goodness and avoid his passion and ignorance. Our lifestyle of a devotee is in the mode of goodness. Mode of goodness means get early out of bed, but take a shower, be clean, meditate on Krishna's names, have Mangalarti. It's the mode of goodness. That eating regulated, eating only prasad, mostly in the mode of goodness. We will hear about in the 17th chapter about food in the 3 modes. That we will find out devotees eat food in the mode of goodness, mostly. Mostly, of course, it's transcendental. But so the mode of goodness is not so much affected by miseries. That and there is a sense of I'm advancing in knowledge. That one is more or less free of sinful reactions in the mode of goodness. The mode of goodness means greater knowledge, greater happiness. Knowledge going up, happiness, material happiness. It's because that material happiness is conditioning one. One thinks, yes, life is good, that everything is going good, I'm fine, but everything is not fine. You will still become diseased and die at a certain moment. That and it's the mode of goodness is never pure. It's always contaminated by the other modes. That we will hear later. That there's always a mix. Srila Prabhupada says, yeah, best examples are the scientists and philosophers. They are very proud of their knowledge. That and because their living conditions are better than the others, there's a sense of I'm advancing. That yes, they are, but it's one may think, Srila Prabhupada writes at the end, that such life is very pleasant. So they feel usually themselves also superior to others. I'm a Brahman, I'm better than the others. That's all. It's a false sense of happiness and satisfaction and knowledge. That it's very, very dangerous. That but more dangerous is the mode of passion. We'll hear now the mode of passion. Can someone read text 7, please?
Maharaj, sorry to disturb. Can I ask a question on the previous verse?
Yes, you can ask a question.
Maharaj, like Prabhupada is referring to philosophers, scientists, and poets as the ones in mode of goodness. But we usually see that these people in the material world do not follow any attributes of mode of goodness, whether it comes cleanliness, getting up early, or living a sinless life. They are rather going in the opposite directions these days. So how do we understand that they are examples of mode of goodness?
Yeah, that's what Srila Prabhupada says. Right, the best examples are the scientists and the philosopher. I think especially because of their superior knowledge. To get this knowledge, you must be very structured and so on. But there are certain characteristics of the mode of goodness. But like I said, these are not pure examples of the mode of goodness. The pure example of the mode of goodness is the pure Brahman. That's if he's living according to as a Brahman, he lives in goodness. But in this age of Kali Yuga, there are no qualified Brahmins. So you will not find such a perfect example. But yes, scientists and philosophers in this world may have some characteristics of goodness, but also ignorance and rajas. So that's correct what you are saying, that we cannot say really that they are in goodness, but they may have some qualities indicating that. Does that help, Paramakaruna?
Yes, please, Maharaj. Maharaj, just one more question.
Yeah.
So this aspect of people in mode of goodness becoming conditioned by happiness, is it, how do we relate this in the lives of practicing devotees? Is such tendency prevalent in practicing devotees as well, that when we get into mode of goodness, we are limited by it in any manner?
Yeah, we can chant our rounds every day, that practice devotional service, and you have the best lifestyle, good prasadam, and a nice husband-wife relationship. Everything is good. And one does not improve in devotional service. One thinks good life, and that's an obstacle. To advance in devotional service, we must come out of the comfort zone and go into the stretch zone. And that is many times a problem, that in devotional service, if you are not progressing, Maya will get to you in a very subtle way, even while chanting. So therefore, the best way to get out of the comfort zone is to get into Srila Prabhupada's preaching mission. Then you are protected. But there is a great danger of thinking, yes, life is good, and why should I endeavor further? I just chant my rounds, it's okay. But it's not. That's illusory energy.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Mother Rukmini, your hand is up.
Yes, Maharaj, I want to ask one thing regarding the mode of goodness. Maharaj, to keeping things, all things at its place, and it's a is it it comes in mode of goodness. What I know, you please correct me if I'm wrong. So, but my problem is, Maharaj, I have this habit to keep everything at its place, and to keep everything clean, neat and clean, and it takes so much time that I thought that I always think that I could use this time in some another thing, and it's a big obstacle I find in my devotional service, because maintaining cleanliness and keeping all things at it, it's really like. So Maharaj, can you please help me? And when the things are at its place and everything is clean, yes, I feel very much good. And if it's not, so I feel like I should do. So I think it's obstacle. Can you please help, Maharaj?
It seems you have a strong inclination to the mode of goodness, which is very good. Goodness means structured, clean, everything on its place, orderly, and that's a very good quality. But it can be, if you have too much things to put on place, then it may become an over and never. Therefore, the point is, in your house, the things you have to put on place, think, did I use that for less than one? Did I use that last month? If not, give it to someone who can use it, so that you have less things to put on place. That would be my advice. Minimize the things you have to what you really need. But putting things in place and clean, very good quality, very good quality. There's an inclination for the mode of goodness. Does that help, mother of clean?
Maharaj, if I say that if I spend 2 hours or even more than that just for these things, and I could do something else in 2 hours, then I'm spending on daily basis, I'm spending these 2 hours. Like it comes in the chapter, so I really want to ask, I struggle for this, that if suppose there is an utensil, I want that should be very much, like a new. I want to keep everything new, very much clean, so it takes much time. So the previous the advice you gave, yes, thank you, but can you please help me in this also?
Yeah, that. But of course, it doesn't depend really what you do, but it's important that you do it for Krishna. Consciousness, conscious doing it for Krishna. But yeah, try to minimize the things you need to what's really needed. And but certainly keeping clean and in place is a very good quality. But do it for Krishna. That's important. Not so much how much time it takes. Yeah. Anyway, that's what I can say.
Maharaj, can you please tell one thing, how I keep everything in my mind that I'm doing this, spending this time, it's also a Krishna conscious time, and I'm doing this, as you said, that it's for Krishna. Of course, utensils, of course, bhoga I will prepare so that I can understand rest of the things which related to me. So how can I say that it's also Krishna conscious activity?
Yeah, today I had some guests here, and I was making pizza. And so, yeah, what I do is I'm hearing Prabhupada while I'm making the pizza. So I'm hearing that, I'm always hearing that. So that's, and the cleaning you do for Krishna. So if you, that's something you can combine, like cleaning and hearing. It's good to combine these things. Then it's, time becomes nicely spent, because we have also to hear sufficiently.
Thank you.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
that is fine. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the next verse, the mode of passion. So can someone read number 7, please?
रजोरागात्मकं विद्धि तृष्णा संगसंभुजवम् तन्निवादाति कौन्तेय परं संगेन देहिनाम्. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions.
Good or not so good? The mode of good passion is characterized by attraction between man and woman. Yeah, that's the point. That someone in the mode of passion does everything for enjoyment. That people will not go to work if they don't get a salary. And with salary, they can buy their enjoyment. So that is typical for the earthly planets, where we are. Our planet Earth, everyone is more or less in the mode of passion. That then it means passion means hankering for material enjoyment. That's for sense gratification. Sense gratification you have in different. You have gross sense gratification, but subtle sense gratification also. Subtle sense gratification is I want to be honored and recognized. That one wants to have a happy family. Family source of enjoyment, and one's and nice children to be proud of. That one is hankering for these things and working very hard for it. Therefore, so the whole world is more or less in a mode of passion. That when Gandhi came to London, someone asked him, what do you think of the British civilization? Gandhi replied, it's a good idea. So he did not really think the English were civilized. That and here we see the reason that he did not think very highly of the English society, because they are advanced in a mode of passion. That in the Vedic culture, the standard was a mode of goodness. That's civilization. But in the modern society, it has become a mode of passion. So, can someone give me some signs that show how this modern civilization today is in passion? Someone wants to make some points? How do you know? Yes,
Maharaj.
Yes.
Yes, Maharaj, in the modern world, people are using so many gadgets, and they want to make so many different works to be done in just short time. It's in mode of fashion. So you want to do so many things in just little time. And I heard that we should be if we are doing one thing, we should be fully concentrate on that thing. That should not multiple tasking is not it comes into rajaguna. So people are nowadays, they are listening, they are writing, they are doing so many things, they are going in car and eating, they're spending so much time like this. And the world is like, they say that 24 hours is very less, and they everybody is running. We have to rush to the office in the morning, come back, meanwhile eating, and give very less time to eat. Then at the time of eating also, they talk so much, like so every time they are just doing something very active they are doing. So it's come in mode of passion.
Yes, so some other contributions. Thank you. But, Hare Krishna.
Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Go ahead. So please.
So we can see in this present world, everywhere this the attraction between man and woman, the sexual attraction, the lust is too much promoted to sell products, to do for any things in this world. So that by that only we can see like the main characteristics of mode of passion is so easily available and so much promoted. So that is one point I would like to
Yeah,
add.
so the whole advertising business. Mother Priya Satyavan, please.
I was just saying, Maharaj, that running after so-called high-end expensive products and trying to show off a very high maintenance lifestyle and partying all the time, surrounded by loud music and all such things. I think one way of showing that we are, at least the world is immersed in mode of passion.
Yeah. True, there are so many machines, cars, trucks going in that direction, this direction. They bring food from the other part of the world. And then you have all this ugra karma, these industries for things we don't need. It is said that, yeah, if only what Europe would spend on makeup things, they could feed the entire Africa with that, just with that budget. So many things that it's all based on passion. Good or not so good, it's passion. But worse than passion is ignorance. 8. Can someone read text 8, please, on the screen?
Tamastav jnanam vidhi, tamastav jnanam jam vidhi, mohanam sarvadehinam, pramadalasya nidrabhish tan nibandhnati bharata. O son of Bharata, know that the mood of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The result of this mood are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul.
Yes. Madness, indolence, and sleep. So the mode, we can say the mode of ignorance is just the opposite of the mode of goodness. So a madman cannot understand what is what. So instead of making advancement, they degrade themselves by the mode of goodness, by associating with the mode of goodness. So the mode of goodness, we will see later, they think that religion is irreligion and irreligion is religion. Just the opposite. that so they are madly accumulating for money, working very, very, very hard, and they forget that they will die very soon, that they have no interest in making spiritual advancement, lazy in terms of self-realization, no interest. That, yeah. So they sleep more than required, takes intoxication. Srila Prabhupada writes at the end of the Prabhupada, 6 hours of sleep is sufficient, but the man in the mode of ignorance at least 10 or 12 hours a day. Such a man appears to be always dejected and is addicted to intoxicants. So we went to these 3 modes, but now how are these 3 modes binding? Someone can read text 9. Thank you. It was not so clear, but that's due to the internet. I will repeat the translation. O son of Bharat, the mode of goodness conditions mind to happiness, passion conditions mind to fruitive action, and ignorance covering one's knowledge binds one to madness. So these are these 3 modes that so a few comments on this section. So Baladev Vidyabhushan explains in a different way how this chapter describes the best of all knowledge. We discussed that point before, but he says that the knowledge here deals specifically with the modes of nature, which is the best of knowledge about Prakriti and Jiva. Prakriti and Jiva. But higher is transcendental devotional service. That, and Srila Prabhupada said, because in the beginning we said philosophical speculation, what is it? Srila Prabhupada said it refers to hearing from bona fide sources and then using one's intelligence to understand what has been heard based on the scriptures. That, so this is the first section for today. We'll now have a pause of 10 minutes. That means it's now 8 o'clock, so 10 past 8, we resume and discuss the next session. Thank you. So, Hare Krishna, yeah, resuming for the next session, next section, I mean, verses 10 to 18. Mainly in this section, Lord Krishna will explain further the characteristics of each of these modes. That then he will explain that if you die in a certain mode, what will happen. And if you act in a mode, what will be the reaction later. That so with this knowledge, you can see, if you see people in the mode of passion, you know what their future life will be. Someone is in a mode of goodness or in a mode of ignorance. You can predict their material future. That and in this world, you will see it's not good. Most people are on their way to the animal kingdom. That's what we conclude from this knowledge. If we look at the world of today, that we have also Uddhav Gita. Lord Krishna also explains in Uddhav Gita how different ways how to change one's modes by association, mainly. That, but let's hear. Text 10 is on the screen. If someone can read text 10, please.
रजस्तमश्चाभिभूय सत्वं भवति भारत रजः सत्वं तमश्चैव तमः सत्वं रजस्तथा.
Yeah,
Translation. Sometimes the mode of goodness become prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance. O son of Bharata, sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So there is always that competition going on. And if we go with these modes of nature, we are like a pinball in that competition. The mind goes from one side to another. Therefore, if we want to advance spiritually, advance in Krishna consciousness, we must transcend these modes. But of course, the devotees live in the mode of goodness. If you live in the mode of goodness, you will defeat passion and ignorance. But of course, and Srila Prabhupada makes it at the end of the purport, our purpose is not to live in goodness, but goodness is close to sattva guna, pure goodness or Krishna consciousness. It's easier to become Krishna conscious if you are in goodness than if you are in passion or ignorance. So pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva, or Krishna consciousness is called the Vasudeva state. In that state, you can understand spiritual knowledge. So by the manifestation of particular activities, it can be understood in what mode of nature one is situated. And so one in passion will do activities to get profit. One in the mode of ignorance will do activities in the mode of ignorance, will smoke, will drink, and so on. That one in the mode of goodness does things in the mode of goodness, brahminical activities, always clean, pure, orderly, the mode of goodness. Good. Text 11. About the mode of goodness. What does one see in the mode of goodness? Can one read text 11, please?
सर्वद्वारेषु देहिस्मिन् प्रकाश उपजायते ज्ञानं यदा तदा विद्यात् विवर्धं सत्वम् इत्युता. The manifestation of the modes of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge.
Yeah. When we're in the mode of goodness, we can see things in the right position. We can hear things in the right position. Things as they are. That so like we said before, it gives a sense of happiness. Text 12, please. Passion, Loba. Someone can read, please.
लोभः प्रवृत्तिर् आरम्भः कर्मणाम् अशमः स्पृहः रजस्य इत्तानि जायन्ते विवर्धे Bharatshrabbha. O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desires and hankering develop.
Uncontrollable desire and hankering. That, yes, great attachment. When in the mode of passion, is never satisfied with the position he has already acquired. He hankers to increase his position. There's been a survey on in America about billionaires. That more than $1 billion. And they in the survey they asked, what do you want? They said, I want $2 billion. I want more. That was never satisfied. Always more. And that, yeah. He wants so many things, like he's going to live eternally and be able to enjoy them. Build up his kingdom, but then, yeah, one has to leave the body. It's all for nothing. But that's the mode of passion. It takes away your intelligence. Lust covers your intelligence. Yeah, that. Avitam Jnanam Etina Jnanina Nityabhana Kamrapina Kantyautushpranalena. It covers your intelligence. And you want always more. The mode of passion. And now the mode of ignorance. And read 13, someone else maybe.
Aprakasho pravritischa pramado moha eva cha tamasi etani jayante viprithe kudunandana. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kudu, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested.
Yeah, that's such a person has no knowledge. He acts whimsically for no purpose. That he likes to be inactive, lazy, wants to sleep, dream. That yes, it's a characteristic of many people in this age. In 1.1.10 in Bhagavatam, Kayanalpayusa Sabya Kalapasminchigena Mandasmanamatiya Mandabhakyupadata. People in this age are so short-sighted, always lazy and always disturbed, always lazy. And now, what's going to happen when you die in one of these modes? First, you die in a mode of goodness. What's happening? Next verse, please. Someone can read.
Yada sattve praviddetu pralayam yati dehabhrit tadotma vidam lokan amalan pratipadyate. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages.
And the great sages that, higher planets, Marloka, Tapaloka, Janaloka, all these higher planets. There are different kinds of planets for different kinds of living entities. Those who die in the mode of goodness are elevated, the planets where great sages and great devotees live. Good. Even if we are not fully Krishna conscious, if we are in the mode of goodness, it will protect us from the greatest danger. Text 15, please. Someone wants to read.
Rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangeshu jayate tatha pralin nastamasi mudayoneshu jayate. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom.
So if one cultivates tamas, ignorance, then one becomes an animal in next life. And there, one elevates oneself again to the evolutionary process. Then you get always higher and higher forms of animals until you come again to the human form of life. Now that can take hundreds of births because the human form of life is very rarely obtained. That we will hear that from Prahlad Maharaj in the 7th canto. Kamracharaprachyo dharmam bhartamyam durlabam manusham samyam tapya durvam achtaram. He advised his schoolmates, you should cultivate Krishna consciousness from the age of 5, because now we have obtained this human form of life, which is rarely obtained these days. Rarely. Make good use of it. That so rarely obtained. Now, as the 3 last verses, we will hear of the results of action in goodness, passion, and ignorance, what results it gives. Verse 16. Someone can read 16, please, on the screen. Yes, Gareth.
Karmana Sukritasuya Satvikam Nirmalam Phalam Rajsas Sufalam Dukham Ajnanam Tamasafalam. The result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mood of goodness. But action done in the mood of passion results in misery, and action performed in the mood of ignorance results.
Yeah. Action in the mode of passion is action for enjoyment. What did we hear in 522? Jeison spasiabo gaudukayona evate atyantam tekantianati shuramate buddha. Great sages have concluded for one who wants to enjoy in this world, the reaction is misery, suffering. And it's not worthwhile because it's temporary. So that's also here. The activities of the mode of passion are simply miserable. People must work very hard, and it's miserable, to attain a little enjoyment. That one may have some mental happiness. This is my house, but it's not actual happiness. I'm here in a tiny country called Belgium, and in a few provinces there are living Flemish people. Flemish people are very hard working. So when they marry, they are going to build their own house. They want to have their own castle. So they marry with two. With two, they are working their whole life to build the house of their dreams, and they get a loan from the bank. That a loan for about 40 years. And they work very hard, and they build beautiful castles. You have nice houses here around. And then when they are 60, 65, they think, it's mine. They are so happy. And 3 years, 4 years later, they die. It's all for nothing. That's the mode of fashion. Working your whole life for these bricks, and then you die. That is the result in the mode of passion. That there is some mental happiness, but there's no actual happiness. That because the performer is without knowledge. He does not know that that activities will result in present misery. And afterwards, they have a big house, but they become an anomaly next life. So what's the use of it? That's slaughtering, and they are slaughtering few poor animals, just a mode of ignorance to eat them. That because of ignorance, they cannot see how material nature controls them, and they cannot see how the Supreme Lord controls material nature, Maya, action, and faculty. They don't see that every creature is a son of the Supreme Lord. That and the Lord does not tolerate if we kill anyone. One has to pay for it. But so, yes, the mode of goodness gives pure result. The mode of passion gives misery. That and ignorance gives foolishness. That so yes, modern civilization indulges in animal slaughter and is progressing towards the darkness of ignorance. That so Brahmins and cows, the Vedic culture describes, must be given protection at all times, And that's real advancement of civilization. But modern humans, society has no spiritual knowledge, and they are cow killing is encouraged. So Srila Prabhupada writes, a civilization which guides the citizens to become animals in their next life is certainly not a human civilization. And that's actually what's going on. But yes. So that was the result of these actions in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And now we will hear about the results of these modes. If one cultivates these modes, what will be the result? Text 17. One can read.
Tattvat sanjayate
Maharaj.
jnanam rajasono. Yes, sir.
Yeah, please continue.
Okay. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam rajasa lokha evacha pramada mohau tamaso bhavato jnanam evacha. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance, develop foolishness, madness, and illusion.
So, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, through Krishna consciousness, society will develop the mode of goodness. And when they develop the mode of goodness, they will see things as they are. That, yeah. So for people to become happy and prosperous, they must be educated in goodness by the process of Krishna consciousness. That, so Srila Prabhupada writes in a purport, because people have no education in actual knowledge, they become irresponsible. Therefore, they kill cows. That's irresponsible. That slaughter, irresponsible. That acting in a mode of passion, trying to encroach on others' quotas. You will hear that, or maybe you did already in the Sri Upanishad, second verse. Everyone has his quota. That's what you need. and to have a simple life. And everything beyond that is not your quota. Then you are encroaching on the quota of others. And that's irresponsible. So if the world is in a mode of passion and ignorance, there can be no peace or prosperity. So that means even if one has enough money and adequate arrangement for sense gratification, there is neither happiness nor peace of mind. Outside happy, looking happy, but inside it's madness. That there's this hankering for sense gratification and this madness of intoxication and ignorance. It's not good. Good. The last verse of the section, 18, we will hear about their next birth. Can someone read 18?
Urdhvam gachanti sattvastha madhye tishtanti rajasa jaghanna gunasmrittistha adho gachanti tamasa. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish world.
Very good. So goodness means to birth in higher planets. That passion gives birth on these earthly planets. Therefore, most of the people on this planet are in passion. Ignorance means animal life, hellish birth. That animal life is hellish birth. You have to satisfy your sense gratification in very nasty conditions. That so we can see our people next birth by that, by their activities. That those who are fully in Krishna consciousness, they can teach about these activities in the modes. Actually, the living entity is not a performer of different activities. Krishna makes the point. He's forced to act because he's situated in a particular body, conducted by some particular mode of nature. Unless one has the help of a spiritual authority, he cannot understand in what position he is actually situated. A man in Krishna consciousness is not controlled by the spell of material nature. For one who is able to see things as they are, influence of material nature ceases. It is factually, it's this modes of nature that they are entering through our mind. Our mind is made of material nature, it's made of these modes. And all this influence comes to the mind. Therefore, yoga means to control the mind. Control the mind. Don't absorb your mind in the emotions and all what the mind is proposing. No, with your intelligence, you have to direct the mind and tell the mind what to do. You have to act in Krishna consciousness, serving Krishna. You have to tell the mind. The chant Hare Krishna, absorb mind in hearing Hare Krishna. It's very difficult. The mind, from the moment you start to chant Hare Krishna, the mind says, I want to do something else. So many things to do today, very important. And this and that, and this person said that to you, and you have still to do that and make a plan for that. And then the mind bombards you with things, but you have to bring it back to chanting and tell the mind later, now here, that here this holy name, here Prabhupada. Jaldi, we get the mind out of passion and ignorance, and it comes under control. But it takes a while. That but Krishna will speak about that in the next session. Because in the next session, Krishna will speak about transcending the modes. Arjun will ask a question that we have heard, similar question in the second chapter. And he says, yes, how can I recognize a person who has transcended these modes? And then we will hear a whole list of points Krishna gives, and then he says, yes, you can transcend these modes only by devotion service. That we will discuss next time. But we must be careful that we are not performing devotional service in the modes. That's described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. just for your information, I will bring that on the screen if I can find it. Canto 3. This is the teachings of Lord Kapila. 29. 8. Devotional service executed by one who is envious, proud, violent, and angry, who is a separatist, is considered in the mode of darkness. Thus, devotional service in the mode of ignorance. If you are interested, you can read the purport on your own. Text 9, I'm just reading these verses. The worship of deities in the temple by a separatist with a motive. Separatist means with a motive for material enjoyment, fame, and opulence, is devotion in the mode of passion. So we serve Krishna, but to get something back, to enjoy. That's in. Then you have devotional service here. When a devotee worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offers the result of his activities in order to free himself from inebriety or fruitive activities, his devotion is in the mode of goodness. So one serves Krishna to be free from suffering. That's in the mode of goodness. And then 11, 12, these are the last one. That's pure devotional service. That's what we should do. The manifestation of unadulterated devotional service is exhibited when one's mind is at once attracted to hearing the transcendental name and qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is residing in everyone's heart. Just as the water of the Ganges flows naturally down towards the ocean, such devotional service, uninterrupted by any material condition, flows towards the Supreme Lord. Unadulterated devotion service. Anyabilasa Sunyan Yan Kamatanavatam Anikolina Krishna Shilan Bhakta Uttana. But now I want also to show something else from the Bhagavatam. May interest you if you can read on your own these things. This will give you a deeper understanding. But if we go to 11th canto,
Maharaj, a small question here.
13, and then we have 11, 13, I think it's 4. Yeah, so that is how you cannot change your modes. That and Lord Krishna explains that to Uddhav. And he says, according to the quality of religious scriptures, water, one's association with one's children, or with people in general, in particular place, time, activities, birth, meditation, chanting of mantras, and purificatory rituals, the modes of nature become differently prominent. So it means we should only read religious scriptures in pure goodness. There's the Amala Puran, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Bhagavad Gita. Water, we should only drink pure water. That's in the mode of goodness, drinking pure water. If you are thirsty. One's association with one's children or people in general, the people in general are in the mode of passion, well, you will cultivate passion. The particular place, time, the activities, activities you have in the different modes. The birth, you take birth in a certain family in a certain mixture of modes of nature. So taking birth again will change your modes. Meditation, on what you are meditating. Are you meditating on Shiva or Lord Krishna? Chanting of mantras, You have mantras in each of the modes, purificatory rituals, that rituals for the karma kanda is all in passion. The modes of nature become very prominent. So these are all ways to 10 items how you can change your mode. But of course, for devotees, we live the lifestyle as Prabhupada taught us. That's in the mode of goodness. So that is about changing the modes that. So first, I want just a few things more that may interest you. But I'm trying to give you a bit deeper insight. It's yeah, we were in chapter 14, right? 17 we discussed. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. From ignorance develops foolishness, madness, and illusion. So this describes the results of action in each of the modes. Result of action, but in the next verse, yeah, this is the results. The result of pious action is pure, in the mode of goodness. But action in the mode of passion is misery, and action in ignorance is foolishness. These are the results. But what causes these results? 17 explains the intermediate causes, we say, of the results. From goodness, real knowledge develops, from passion, greed develops, and from ignorance, foolishness. So that's, it says, knowledge develops. And this knowledge will bring about purity if you act in that knowledge. And action in a mode of passion produces, greed develops, but then it will result in misery. That in misery. That's because of the greed, which cannot be satiated. Action in ignorance brings madness and illusion. And by that you act foolishly. So this is, today we got absorbed in these modes, and tomorrow we will discuss how to get out of it. Any question, comment, please?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Yes.
Maharaj, there is one topic that I hear quite a lot about, but I've never been able to fully understand it. Many times this thing comes in Bhagavad Gita that we are controlled by the three modes of material nature, and we are forced to act. Several places Krishna mentions this, and what I need help in understanding is, first of all, to what degree we are being forced to act. And I'm talking in terms of the life of let's say, a practicing devotee. Just putting into context of our life, to what degree we are being forced to act. And secondly, there are many things we are doing of bhakti, but we are still affected by the three modes. So our devotional service is definitely, I mean, I can say for myself, mode of passion, ignorance, they're all there. So, so then are these also, I mean, forced by the material nature, or we are doing it? So if you can just help, decode it in a more detailed way, this entire philosophy of us being forced to act, and what exactly is our free will, what degree we have to ourselves as a free will. So these two things, if you can explain properly, Maharaj, will be very helpful.
Yeah, first, to what degree are we forced to act? First, we get this body. This body is under the modes of nature, and you must act as a human being. I cannot say, like Narada Muni, I'm going to fly from planet to planet, I'm going to the material spiritual world, I'm coming back. No, we are on this little planet Earth, and on this little shell, we have to remain here. We cannot go out of it. No way out. That's the first thing. The body says, yes, you need rest, you must go to sleep. That you are forced. The stomach says you must eat, you must eat. That so yeah, no way out. You have to do these things. That so the body is forcing you in so many ways. Then the second way, that to what degree are we forced to act? That's more subtle. What I told here is gross, the body. But subtle is, you are born and your happiness and distress is already fixed. Your whole life is already planned out by material nature. All what you are going through, happiness and distress. And you cannot change it, the happiness and distress. That's what you are going to get, because that's what you are deserving from your previous life. And they are just the reactions of your actions, previous life. It's not unfair, it's just the reaction, but you have caused yourself. You have to go through it. That means in this life, you cannot make your own happiness in this world. So Prabhupada said, you think there is some happiness in this world, then that's a great mistake. You cannot become happy in this world. Prabhupada said, your happiness starts when you try to become happy in this world. Your unhappiness starts when you try to become happy in this world. Unhappiness starts. Your happiness starts once you give that up. If you understood, I cannot become happy in this world. One who searches for happiness in this world, that is, he will get very frustrated, because there is no happiness in this world. So Prabhupada said, what we take as happiness is absence of misery. You eat and you feel good because the pain is gone. The pain of feeling hunger. That's the first thing we must learn in spiritual life. That we will get reactions of our own actions. That so striving for happiness from the body in this world, that's we should not do. Because if you strive for bodily happiness, for bodily enjoyment, you create new reactions. We are put in this prison, and these reactions of happiness and distress is our punishment. And therefore we get a body to give us pain. That is reality. But what's our free will? Our free will is how we are going to deal with it. If we get happiness, yeah. So that's explained in the 5th chapter. We learned that. There, Lord Krishna says, also in other verses, many verses practically, but in verse 520, Krishna says, Napraspritya priyam pripyan novichat propya sapriyam stirbadir asamudo brahmavit brahmanistata. One who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant, nor laments upon something unpleasant, so his intelligence is stirabudir. That's the Krishna conscious person. It's not interested for the happiness of the body. And he tolerates the distress. He knows these are reactions. But these are not my reactions. They are the reactions of my activities in previous lives. They are the reactions undergone by the body. And the body feels happiness and distress. But if we transcend the modes, we don't feel them. We are happy in Krishna consciousness because we are not absorbing in the body. If you are absorbed in these thoughts of the mind and the body, then you suffer. Like you go to the dentist, you sit in the dentist seat and time is going so slow because we become absorbed in this body and it's suffering. That when I was a young boy, I was 5 years old, and another boy came with me, came to see me, but I had a toothache, a terrible toothache. I remember the pain was. But then I started to play with this other young boy, and we became absorbed in the play, and during the play, no toothache. Then after the play, the boy, my friend, went away, and the toothache became back. Because I was reminded of it, and my conscience was absorbed again in the body. So Krishna consciousness is like that. If we identify as a servant of Krishna, we become so absorbed, we forget about the body and about his mind. No time for these things. But if we become absorbed and someone comes to us and says something bad and we feel bad about it, then we think, that's unjust, I will retaliate and I will do something about it, I will get him. Then that's the mode of passion and ignorance. Then you don't accept your punishment. You fight against it and you prolong your stay in the material world. You create new reactions. But if you accept it, this is my reaction. Tatenu kampam sisamachna bunchat maivan akitam vipakam ritfakva pudiyafutadana stage vetio buktevadesh taipak. If you see, yes, I'm suffering. Thank you, Krishna. I deserve that suffering. And you gave, because I tried to become devout, you gave me only a token, a bit. Thank you. It's fine with me. I accept it. I feel satisfied. Then you have the verse is, you have a right for liberation. That's the way to act in Krishna consciousness. If we don't act in Krishna consciousness and don't see that reality, then we create new reactions. And that's knowledge. And that's our free will. And that free will you can only use when you are really in the mode of goodness or Krishna consciousness. So that's in a nutshell the philosophy, but that's also explained with many examples in the Bhagavatam. Therefore, we should not only study Bhagavad Gita, but hear the entire Bhagavatam, and we will understand these things in very much detail. Do you think that's helpful, Paramakaruna?
Yes, yes, Maharaj. Maharaj, I'm very thankful. I think that gives it some context. So you said that at these two levels, our life is kind of piloted by the modes of nature. And you said something very nice, that only in mode of goodness we can exercise our free will. Maharaj, one question I still have is, given the state we are in, majority of us in this world, if we see, mode of passion ignorance is so ingrained that even our desires, our convictions, and our ability to shift from one mode to another is also kind of limited. We're already so influenced by mode of passion and ignorance. So when Shastra says that we can uplift ourselves, one question I have is, when we are so already forced, so much controlled by modes of material nature, how does someone, unlock himself? Can it happen by one's endeavor, or it's only just the fortune of some Vaishnavas by which we uplift, or by our own personal endeavor we have the capacity to shift from mode of passion to mode of goodness?
No, the way to get out of it is only really one way, that to use body, mind, and words always in the service of Krishna. And then you don't have time for this mind. You don't listen to this mind. You don't become absorbed in this mind. We become absorbed in this mind because this mind gives you makes so many proposals for accepting things and rejecting things. And when you follow the proposal of the mind, accepting things or rejecting things, whatever, you get in difficulty. Because it's the modes, this accepting and rejecting. Therefore, we must only accept and reject what's in the scriptures, the advice of Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. So we have to be very, very careful. And he will give very nice advice further on, that he will explain, yes, how to live in the mode of goodness, which food to take, so many things. And we have explained many things in previous verses already. That mode of goodness means balanced. Balanced, not eating too much, not eating too less, not sleeping too much. Mode of ignorance. You sleep too less. Mode of passion, madness. So yes, it's learn the lifestyle of a devotee and learn to engage yourself 24 hours a day in devotional service. That's what Srila Prabhupada says in the purport of Bhagavad Gita, that one should arrange one's life in such a way that one can not do anything else than 24 hours think of Krishna. But my experience is, it's a process. That my consciousness is not the same as my consciousness 30 years ago, than my consciousness 20 years ago, than my consciousness 10 years ago, than my consciousness 5 years ago. It changes. And it changes drastically. That to get all these passion things about your system takes a while. Because the mind wants to concentrate on it. But then you come in Krishna consciousness at a certain moment, the mind wants still to meditate on it. And sometimes you meditate on it, but you never do it. That's a middle stage. In the beginning, you become victim. the mind, you will do it. But then in the middle stage of purification, yeah, sometimes the mind meditation, but it's not good. But, and then finally, when one comes to the mode of goodness, then one gives up and one becomes more peaceful. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Does that help? Good.
चश्मा उतार ले चश्मा उतार के रहेगी तो नॉर्मल रहेगा तेरा विजन चेंज हुआ पड़ा ना इसलिए तेरे को
Good. Then we will stop here. And we see each other tomorrow. We will finish tomorrow the 14th chapter and start the 15th chapter, the Banyan tree. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Jai Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.